Hey guys, I'm Jeremy Yoder from Mad Scientist Barbecue, and today I'm going to show you how to make perfect pork spare ribs every single time on your Pits and Spits offset smoker. These are the things that you're going to need. A cutting board, St. Louis cut pork spare ribs, a rib rub of your choice, but I'm partial to the ultimate rib rub from Pits and Spits, some heavy duty aluminum foil, a digital instant read thermometer, a trimming knife, powder-free nitrile gloves, and a heavy-duty spray bottle filled with apple cider vinegar. First, we're going to trim these up. Now, when you're out shopping for your ribs, make sure that you get St. Louis cut spare ribs, because what they've done is they've trimmed off a bunch of hard stuff that you don't want to eat, like the sternum and other things that are attached to the full spare. So get these, and it's going to simplify the process, and it's going to make a better overall product in the end. Now, for trimming, all we're really going to do is we're going to take off these little bits that are hanging on the sides, and we're just going to kind of round it off so that nothing burns when we have it on the smoker. On the back here, we have a membrane that kind of holds all this together. You can leave it on and just make sure you get really good tenderness on the ribs. You can take it off to make sure that there's nothing chewy in any of the bites from these ribs at all, or you can score it, which is kind of a middle of the road option where you kind of make a crosshatch mark on the back so that there are no big pieces of membrane that are going to be difficult to bite through. Today I'm going to go middle of the road option. It's still really easy but produces a really good product. I'm going to score the membrane, so take a knife along the back. Now it's time to season. Just be careful that you don't over season, because you can over salt ribs pretty easily. And then also you want to give a lot of surface area for the smoke to penetrate the meat and get a good smoke flavor, because the reason you're cooking it on a smoker and not in an oven is because you want that smoke. Once you got your ribs seasoned, it's time to put them on the smoker with the thicker end pointing toward where the fire is. We've had these guys on here for about 3.5 hours, and we've been spraying about every 30 minutes. So we spray just to keep everything soft on the exterior, and we're cooking at 250 degrees, which on an offset smoker, it's really important that you're very consistent in how you maintain your fire so the temperature remains stable, so that nothing burns but you still continue to cook. Now that we've got this perfect dark red color, it's time to wrap, because this tells us that we have enough smoke on the meat so we can wrap it up and finish off the cook. The process to wrap is actually really simple. Just give it a couple quick sprays with your apple cider vinegar. Place it meat side down. Another couple sprays. And then wrap up all the corners. We're going to let the ribs come to about 200 degrees, but it's all really based on feel, and I'll show you exactly what to look for. But right now, we're going to put it back in the same way it was, except it's meat side down, so that meat gets nice and tender, and we're going to let it keep going, and then we're going to check in about an hour, and then maybe every 15 minutes or so after that. It's been about 2 hours since the last time I talked to you guys, and these ribs have been on here getting nice and tender. So I would go, after about the first hour, I'd go maybe every 15 minutes and just probe for tenderness, and then probe for temperature, because when you get to around 200 degrees, then you know you're in the ballpark, and then you go by feel. And so to do the final check, we're going to take these out, because they probe to a temperature of 202, which tells me they're probably about done, and they felt really tender when I poked the probe into them. We're going to poke the bone side of the ribs just to make sure that the probe goes in like butter. Then you know it's going to be perfectly tender. At that point, you just wait about 30 minutes and slice them up and serve them. Very good. Oh yeah. All right, these guys are done. So what we're going to do is kind of wrap them loosely again in the foil and let them come down in temperature, because if you slice these when they're super, super hot, then the edges of each slice are going to dry out, because all that water evaporates on the edge and you're going to have dry edges, which you don't want. So let it come down to a reasonable temperature where it still feels hot, but it's not so hot that it'll burn your hands. That's the temperature at which you want to slice. Okay, it's been about 15 minutes that we've been letting these ribs cool down, so I'm going to take them out of the wrapper and I'm going to slice them up. Now, one issue with ribs is sometimes the bones aren't completely straight. So, in order to make sure your cuts are good, you can actually flip the ribs over and cut from the backside. Now, if you take a look at this rib, we have everything that we want. We have seasoning on the top. We have a smoke ring that shows we've got lots of smoke on this thing. And it's juicy, it's moist all the way throughout. Now, the last step is to take a bite. So, oh yeah. This is how you know you've gotten the correct level of tenderness. You see a clean bite, so it still has the texture of meat, but the bone underneath is perfectly clean and the whole rib doesn't fall off the bone. Now, in my opinion, these are perfect ribs. Now, you can put sauce on them. You could even put them back on the smoker to glaze the sauce on there. But if you're going to be making a meal out of ribs, you're going to want something that's savory and not overly sweet. So just a kiss of the rub and a hint of smoke with perfectly tender meat is going to please everybody who has these ribs. And if you follow this step-by-step recipe, you're going to produce great stuff every time. You're never going to be disappointed. Great ribs. Messy, but good.